the feeling like the world is crushing you down, that's all distress. Eustress is all the positive stress, like when there's change that results in more energy, or when there's anticipation, or when there's some sort of enthusiasm. That's also stressful. Like it increases your heart rate, increases your cortisol levels, increases your body temperature. It's the same effect as normal stress, but it has a different cognitive impact because of how it triggers more energy in a different way. So you have to stress inoculate against what you're getting ready to do. So for example, you can role play. I'm interviewing Putin next week. Can you pretend to be Putin?
So you like practice the intro.
And then you sit with them and you're like, I'm going to start with this question and then this question and this question. If your role player is very good at being a role player, which many people need some practice, right? But if they're very good at being a role player, they will put themselves into the role because they know that it's helping you. And then if you go through 3, 5, 12 practice questions, 2 or 3 different intros, by the time Putin actually walks through the door, you're like, oh, you're just kind of a funny little man instead of this larger-than-life character.
Yeah. Okay. So role-playing would be the number one suggestion.
Role-playing is the number one suggestion. And then the number 2 is actually to rehearse out loud. It can be into the mirror. It can be into the absolute ether, the darkness of your room, whatever you want. Because what happens is there's a brain-mouth muscle connection that often people overlook. Why are soccer players good at soccer? They have muscle memory. Why are football and soccer, depending on what country you're in, the same? Why are American football players so good at American football? Why are tennis players so good at tennis? Why are golfers so good at golf? Part of it is because of muscle memory. Their body, their hands, their arms, their shoulders, their hips remember the motion, the movement, the stroke, the position, right? That's just muscle memory, training over and over again. We have the same problem with our mouths. If you don't know what question you're going to say, or if you know what question you're going to say, but you've never practiced saying it out loud, there is no mind-muscle connection for your lips. So you can stumble over yourself. You can say it too fast. When you see people clarify over and over again, often it's because they know they're not being clear. So you got to build that routine. So when you have a role player, you do both skills at once, right? You inoculate against the stress, and you build the brain-mouth muscle connection. If you don't have a role player, you can't inoculate against the stress, but you can still build the brain-mouth muscle connection.
Interesting. So a lot like a presentation, you'd want to go before you go on a stage. You just want to do the same process. So then, but this is a one-on-one conversation. So you need to practice what you're going to ask. This is a formal interview, but I guess you could still practice if you're going up to a girl before you talk to her.
What's funny is if you've ever met pickup artists, have you ever met an actual pickup artist, like real pickup artists, people who pride themselves on the art of pickup, do all the things that we're talking about. They role play with their boys. They practice lines. They practice pickups. They practice.
And they do some research ahead of time to know what to ask.
Absolutely. They have go-to tricks and tools. It sounds ridiculous, except that it works. If it didn't work, it would make the practice ridiculous. But because it works, the practice therefore is not so ridiculous.
Interesting.